I'm going to start recording. Okay, we're good to go. Let me share my screen. Okay, so, oops, what just happened? Let's undo that. Just screwed up my PowerPoint. Oh, here we go. My computer's being a little bit slow. Okay, so today I'm going to be diving in, excuse me, to how to be like Beyonce and own your self-worth. And this is two subjects that are very dear to my heart. Firstly, I'm a huge fan of Beyonce, always have been. And I actually got to go and see her play in New Jersey with Jay-Z a couple weeks ago. It was a birthday present from my amazing partner, who I'm so grateful for. And it was an amazing show. And, you know, she just got me thinking more about her work and her career. And I don't know if you know much about her current show. It's called On the Run. She's doing it with Jay-Z. And it's basically a dedication to love and to their love story. And she really inspired me the way that, you know, she's kind of taken the lead and decided to be really vulnerable and really take a stand in their relationship because of, you know, the infidelity that they experienced. Jay-Z cheated on her, and she basically decided to stick by him and told him to go to therapy. And he did it. Of course, who wouldn't do that for Beyonce? And they've decided to take a stand for you know, that narrative in Black relationships. That it's really common for Black men. It's a common story for them to cheat and for them to leave, and for Black women to be left as single mothers. And so what they're doing as like very, very, very powerful role models in the Black community is saying, you know what, it's difficult and we have to take a stand and we have to do the work, but we can change this narrative. We can change this pain that we are suffering, and we're going to take a stand and we're going to do that. And, you know, set this story on a different track going forward. So it's really, really inspiring to see her do that through her work and to use her platform and her impact to be able to make such a positive contribution and inspiration. And obviously, you know, the show is incredible. She's amazing. Just the way that she brings her message and her story across in her work so vulnerably and so powerfully is such an inspiration to bajillions of people, as I'm sure you know. So, and please feel free to share your questions and comments throughout this. So I'm going to dive in and onto how we can really be inspired by Beyonce and why it's so, so, so important for us to own our self-worth and to really value ourselves despite our struggles, despite the stories that have been holding us back. And to really just not take any excuses for showing up, doing our best work, getting our voices out there, getting our message heard, and making the impact that we are capable of making. So this content that I'm going to cover today will change your life if you apply it. And I'm going to cover, you know, the basics of what you need to know about self-worth, why that's really important for us, especially as women, especially as creatives and entrepreneurs, what we can learn from Beyonce, and the most important ways to take care of our life and careers that we too often skip over. And, you know, this is the many reasons why we self-sabotage our success. And actually, it's something that we have complete power over. We have control over it and our self-worth and our relationship with ourselves. So when we do this work and we start to shift that, we take power over our lives. We get to make more of an impact. We get to create the results that really make us happy. And we get to stop with the excuses as to why we can't do it. So I'm going to share 2 life-changing strategies with you to grow your appreciation for your real value, which will start to bring you massively different results in your life. So I'm really, really passionate about this work. It's something that I've done a lot of work on myself and had a lot of success with. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. And please, anything that comes up for you, any thoughts, any questions, please pop them in the chat box. So does that sound good to you? Please leave me a Y in the chat box. And I'll tell you a little bit about me for those of you who don't know me. My name's Sarah Mack. I'm a writer and a mindset coach for creatives. So I work with artists, coaches, and healers. And my story is I did a master's in film production, and it was around that time that, I had a big burnout, and I started, coming up against a lot of stories. And, I was looking at a lot of women artists, women filmmakers, feminist filmmakers, and just seeing this story that, women's stories are kind of underfunded. It was, difficult for them to get funding or reach an audience or get investors in their stories because they're so new, because they don't have a proven audience. And that really reflected back to me my low understanding of, my low level of self-worth within myself as a creative, as a woman. And, these beliefs that I held about myself that I had developed throughout my childhood and my upbringing eventually led me to be, kind of like an overachiever, trying to prove myself through external achievements and working really hard, playing really hard, doing lots of the things, that I loved and was passionate about, but really undermining and self-sabotaging my health and wellness. And that led me to a massive burnout. I ended up with 5 years of chronic fatigue and severe depression. But through really doing that inner journey and coming to understand my self-worth and the beliefs about myself, I made a huge transformation in my life. I launched my writing career, which was so much more creatively fulfilling for me. I launched juicycopy.com, which is my copywriting business. And I write for really, really inspiring women entrepreneurs all over the world, helping them to create more value, attract dream clients that they love working with, and, build their dream businesses and make incredible impact through that work. I've also launched my second business, which is with sarahmack.com. Well, I work as a mindset coach. I work one-on-one with artists, coaches, and healers, helping them to really get tight on their vision and create an accountability and an action plan to make that vision a reality. I'm going to be talking more about that work today. And I also am really excited and proud about my membership group, which is called Money Mindset for Creatives. And I've launched this really to provide accessible support to people who are struggling, with creating the value that they really own, and they haven't quite figured out a way to create that wealth for themselves yet. And so it's really focused on money mindset and doing the inner work, creating that accountability and making those mindset transformations. We've got a lot of really, really incredible artists, coaches, healers, entrepreneurs in there who are committed, doing the mindset work and already seeing the shifts and the results in their life. And it's such an inspiring place to hang out. And for myself, I've created, more earnings than ever before, with more creative freedom, more location freedom, and time freedom than I've ever had. So it really does work, the mindset work. And, a lot of my dreams have come true. I've been a digital nomad for the past 4 years. I've lived in 13 different countries. And I've given myself the time and commitment to focus on my songwriting. I'm a rapper. I'm a video and performing artist. And I've created more time, space, and focus to be able to nurture that side of my creativity, which I just didn't find for myself before. And I live based between New York and Montreal, which is just a dream come true for me. I love the East Coast and I love the culture here. And I did this by investing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on coaching and mentorship support to shift my mindset. And that's really what it took. And now I want to put all of this knowledge that I've gained and applied and seen results with in supporting creatives, because I really believe that when women are supported and created and really value themselves and can go out and make the impact that we're really capable of making, it changes the world. It brings more balance to, our communities, to our families, to our societies, to the ideas that we're talking about, to our health and wellness. So this is clearly for me a really, really important mission. And I absolutely love doing it. So I'm all about having fun, making more money, and having more freedom, doing the work that we love doing and not making sacrifices. Because again, I think, this is a money story. We can create the income that we want doing the work that we love with people that we love working with. And there's really no excuses anymore. So let's talk about Beyonce. She is the epitome of creative feminine power. She shows up, she's in control of her life and her message. She shares it in a really big, bold, and powerful way. She's vulnerable and she shares her story. She's committed to her work. She's financially extremely abundant. She's a mother. She prioritizes her relationship with her partner, Jay-Z. She embodies and shares her feminine sexuality with absolutely zero shame whatsoever, which everybody loves. And she's making a huge impact through her work. And in the number of people that she reaches, the audience that is listening to her, that is a lot of power to share the message that she has to share. And she's taking responsibility for that power, and she's really contributing to the conversations on women's empowerment and race. And she's changing the way that people think about themselves, which in my opinion is the most power there is. And she's a really, really inspiring role model for women of all colors, shapes and sizes, especially for creatives and especially for artists. So let's just take a moment to appreciate Beyonce together. And leave me a Y in the chat box if you also love Beyonce. So let's talk about self-worth stories. So as I mentioned before, when I was doing my master's in film studies, there was a very common thread coming up around, you know, some of the women filmmakers that I was studying, that they were just so broke and never had access to funding, didn't really have support for their work. A lot of their work was about mental illness and, you know, just the struggles that come from that lack of emotional well-being. And, you know, and I came across this a lot, especially when looking at the marketing side of things in terms of, you know, producers and how they give out funding, and, you know, the fact that the target market is normally males between 18 to 25 because they're cinema goers. That's why we see all the, you know, the superhero movies being made again and again and again, because they're proven formulas. Hollywood is a business, you know, art is a business. And historically, women have been very underrepresented in a lot of those spaces, especially in galleries. And I know that this is a limiting story and it is changing now, and there has never been more opportunity for women to get their message and their voices heard. So it is changing, and there are so many opportunities. So it's really exciting, and it really means that there's nothing stopping us now. And this was, you know, encountering this story during my studies was really, it allowed me to reflect on how that had affected me, because it was my story too, and my mum's as well. As being a creative person, I grew up in the theatre performing. You know, I wrote and I danced and I directed for theatre, and I was really discouraged from pursuing the arts as a career because, you know, you've probably heard this story many times before, whether it's in a creative pursuit or whether it's, you know, doing in the healing arts or something that's really, you're really passionate about, that you've maybe never been encouraged to value and to put your time and energy into, whether that's, you know, like a creative hobby that you have, because, you know, it doesn't pay the bills. It's, you know, worthless in our economy. You don't get paid that much. And you know, my mom, she was a painter. She is a painter and an upholsterer, and she was, you know, discouraged from going to art school. And so she was encouraged to go and become a secretary so that she could earn a decent living. And I'm not saying that it's, you know, a bad idea to earn a decent living and to prioritize that in your career choices, but it is possible to earn a decent living from creative pursuits. And I really do believe that you can align your skills and talents in a way that can bring you all of the money that you want, because we have so many opportunities now. And I think, you know, that, I mean, that's always been possible for a lot of people, but so a lot of that is to do with our limiting self-talk. But and I realized how I had internalized that, and I had internalized that as devaluing myself, because something that I was really passionate about, that was really important to me, that I was constantly getting the message that wasn't valuable. So I really internalized that, and we do that all the time. And, you know, a lot of women's stories have historically been diminished, disrespected, and undervalued. And especially when it comes to our creativity and the healing arts. So if you think about all the different alternative therapies that women really excel in through our intuitive skills and gifts and talents and ability to, you know, find solutions and to heal and to be empathic and to care for others. You know, a lot of these alternative healing therapies have been, you know, sidelined, have been put down by, you know, the dominant medical industry. And, you know, there are a lot of unsupportive narratives about that, which goes all the way back to witches being burnt at the stake for their black magic. An ability to, you know, create solutions that you can't really explain and that are very subjective from one practitioner to another. So, you know, all of these kinds of very feminine stories and skills and talents don't really fit into our, you know, patriarchal, has to be explained, has to be scientific, has to be the same every time and proven for us to legitimize something. And so, and also, you know, the same with the creative arts as well. A lot of performers are historically very low paid. A lot of artists think, well, you know, this is my passion and I love doing it, so why should I charge for it? And they continue to do it for free, and that perpetuates that lack of compensation. That is very present and something that really needs to shift, and it has to come from ourselves. So the reason why I'm so passionate about this conversation is because I have just been so sick of seeing incredibly talented and intelligent friends who are just constantly broke. And especially when, you know, especially artists, especially healers, when they have something so valuable to contribute to the world, a message that the world really needs to hear, a perspective that really solves a lot of the problems that we are faced with day to day, that, you know, having a lack of support and a lack of money just, you know, prevents that from happening, prevents that healing from happening, prevents that message from inspiring people and starting conversations that lead to change. So it's really, really important for us to understand this self-worth piece and to take responsibility for healing our self-worth so that we can go out there, receive the money that we need to do the work that the world really needs us to do. And it's time for women's stories to be heard, because we're so imbalanced. We're, you know, there's so much war, there's so much segregation, there's so much imbalance and a disregard for community, for health, for well-being, for families, for children, for motherhood, for creativity. And it's women's voices that are going to bring these conversations, you know, that will lead to everything becoming more balanced, and it will benefit everybody. So it's really, really important for us to shift this. And what I really want the message for you to take away from this is that we have the power to change ourselves. That is the most unquestionable power that we have. It's, you know, going up and resisting against the structures and the conversations that we disagree with or have problems with is one way of dealing with things that sometimes work and sometimes doesn't. But when we focus on shifting ourselves, on shifting our appreciation of our value and our worth and our willingness of what we will settle for and what we won't settle for, that's true power that no one can take away from us. And that's when we create the biggest, most effective, fastest shifts. So, so why the conversation of self-worth? So your level of self-worth really determines how you're able to get to where you want to be in your life. And I just want you to ask yourself this question: where are you undervaluing yourself? Where are you sacrificing your time, your energy, your health, your relationships, your finances? Where are you either neglecting it and not giving it the time and the energy that it needs to be in a healthy situation? Or where are you saying yes to what other people want over what you want? Where are you not really listening to yourself and figuring out really what's best for you and just going along with what everyone else says is best for you? And ask yourself the question: if you truly valued yourself, what would your life, your career, and your conversations look like? How would they be different? What would you not have to experience or put up with if you valued yourself at the next level up and created strong boundaries, really knew yourself, and, you know, maybe that would take away a lot of the anxiety around if something's right or not. Maybe you would trust yourself more. Maybe you would make decisions faster. Maybe you would go for things that you're scared of because you would have more confidence in yourself because you've taken the time to really recognize the value that you have to offer, and you connect with that every single day. You know, what would you say no to? And what would you commit to saying yes to? So saying no is... yeah, that is a good question. Thank you, Shanita. And that is really one way to start, is just to start saying no to things that don't feel good and take that time back for yourself. And, you know, I know, especially if you're a mother, it's a challenge to find time for yourself, but that is the most radical, most impactful thing that you can do, is start to just take some time for yourself, however small, whether it's 5 minutes here or there, to do a little meditation, to do some journaling, to connect with yourself, to take that time to nurture yourself, your self-value, ask yourself what you need, and get out of those habits of thinking about everybody else first and trying to make everyone else happy before you take care of yourself, because that never gets us anywhere. So if you really believed in yourself, what actions would you take this week? What would you stop procrastinating on? If you knew 100% that you would succeed at the thing that you wanted to succeed at, how would that change the way that you show up? How would that, compress your timeline to get you where you want to go? And another, you know, a big conversation that I'm really passionate about is our financial health, because not taking care of our financial health is a lack of self-care, is undermining our impact. And this conversation of self-worth is inextricably linked to that. The more we value ourselves, the less likely we are to settle for having less, the less likely we are to give away our time and energy for free. Obviously, there's always a time and a place for that, but making sure that your needs and your family's needs are met first, and you are creating the income that you need to do that. And not just to get them met, but to exceed them. And so nurturing your creativity through self-care, that is how you create wealth in your life. And the self-worth conversation is at the bottom of all of that. So if you can treat your self-worth, and we're going to talk about how you can do that, that will just have a ripple effect in all areas of your life, and everything will start to shift and become much easier for you, because you're not caught up in those conversations of self-doubt or the victim stories. We're going to go into that as well. And, you know, when you do that, when you can care for yourself, when you can value yourself and create happiness and wealth, and whatever that means to you, then you inspire others. You teach your children to do that as well through watching you. You uplift your communities and your family members. So it's such a powerful thing to be focused on. And if we have low self-worth, we're not living up to our full potential. We're holding ourselves back. We're delaying. We're not moving forward. We're procrastinating. We're doubting instead of taking action, instead of getting the results. And, you know, one way this shows up is not fully investing in cultivating our gifts and strengths and building a life that's uniquely meaningful and rewarding to us. That is a reflection of where your level of self-worth is. So, because, you know, really taking the time to get to know yourself, get to understand what it is that your strengths are, what you most enjoy, what you're most passionate about. That is how you create the path to wealth in the most fun and rewarding way for you. So what stories are you telling yourself? And, you know, this conversation is really all about self-reflection, about digging deep into what's going on in your subconscious mind. Probably a lot of the stories that you've just accepted about your life that have been there for a really long time, and maybe you're not completely aware of. So, you know, just start to bring that awareness. Where are you telling yourself that you can't do something because you're not good enough, young enough, old enough, thin enough, strong enough, rich enough, poor enough, educated enough, too educated? Or where are you telling yourself you don't have enough time, you don't have enough energy, money, freedom, privacy, whatever the excuse is? Or maybe you're blaming it on your externals, on like the world around you, society, community, your industry, your family, the availability of opportunity is to blah, blah, blah. Tell yourself, what are the excuses you're telling yourself about why you can't have what you desire? Is it, you know, I'm too sick, I'm too broke, I'm too tired, I'm too busy? What is the story? Commit to dropping it now. And, you know, I've been there. If we're not where we are, there's probably a long list of excuses. I know I had them. I know I accepted what people had told me about it's not possible to earn a good living being creative and doing something I enjoy. And I accepted that. And I burnt out and I sacrificed my health, and then I was too sick. But I realized that I had to shift my mindset to start telling myself the stories that I wanted to be my life. And, you know, that's really the mindset work, is tell yourself the stories first and then watch as your life shifts to align to those stories, and being really committed to them and taking action and following inspiration, but being really committed to the stories that you want to describe your life. Just look, are there people succeeding in your industry? Yes, there probably are. So is it possible for you? Yes, it's possible for you. So what's stopping you? And this is a great exercise to do. Just do a brain dump of all the reasons why you can't have what you want, because that will bring up all of your limiting beliefs to the surface. And then you can go ahead and flip those to the story that you would love to be telling. So if you truly valued and truly believed in yourself, what action would you take today? Not tomorrow, not next week, not when something else has happened first, but today. Because until we start acting now in the present moment, we're always putting it off till the future, and then it ends up never happening. Now is the only time we have. In the future, always feels more comfortable. It always feels safer, because having to change now is very uncomfortable. But once we get into that mindset of changing now in this instant, it starts to become a lot more fun, because you get the results a lot faster. So why am I so passionate about coaching? Because I really do believe that this is the solution to this problem, which has the capacity to have incredible impact in our own lives and in the world around us, as I've been talking about. So coaching really gives women a chance to commit to focusing on and to prioritizing ourselves and what we want, which we've become very used to, especially if you're creative and you're sensitive or you're a mother, really used to prioritizing other people's well-being before yours, always trying to help, like, appease, make other people feel comfortable, and fitting ourselves into whatever box or idea that requires for that to happen. And that becomes a survival habit that we have created for ourselves because it's worked to a certain extent. But we have to break that if we want to start really prioritizing ourselves and really building our value in ourselves and our self-worth. So coaching gives us that precious time to focus on ourselves and not everyone else, and really to break that pattern. It's also someone to call us out on our bullshit limiting stories, all of those excuses, why I can't do it now, why I'm putting it off till another day, why I'm thinking it will happen in the future and it's not possible for me right now. It's a place for you to heal the deeply embedded wounds that have created these stories about you not being good enough, you not being valuable, you not having opportunity, or it being more difficult for you, which, are genuine. There's a reason that we create these stories. There's a reason that these emotions exist. And it can be painful to go in and look at them. So more often than not, we avoid doing this work when we're by ourselves. We'll do our journaling, but there's only so far that we'll go when we're by ourselves. So having that support one-on-one and that space for you to feel supported, to allow those wounds to come up to the surface so that you can look at them and heal them and move past them. It's a place for you. Coaching is a place for you to learn how to identify, release, and replace these limiting beliefs, and to do it with support so you don't, spiral and feel lost and get overwhelmed in emotion. Which can happen. It happened to me a lot. It's accountability to committing to transformation. It is uncomfortable to do things differently, to step outside of our comfort zone and what we've been used to, even if it will bring us better results and we know that we'll like it more on the other side. Our mind still loves to resist change. So having that accountability, knowing that there's someone we're going to look, it's going to not be fun for us to say, oh, I didn't do it. That really is a great motivator to take those actions and to move forward. And, support to write a new empowering story. And that's one of my specialties, obviously, as a writer. I love to identify stories that the ego and the mind really will take to and feel good about when they're shifting to a new story, rather than, rejecting it or doubting it. It's really important to find those stories that really resonate with you where you are now. And I see this all the time with my clients. They get focused on what they want, they do the mindset work, they commit to taking action, and what they want happens. It's really as simple as that. But we're very good at getting in our own way. So when we don't have that support, a lot of time can go by without really making that much progress. So if you do want to book a free creative strategy session with me to talk about options for working together, I would love that. Please send me a message and we can set that up. So self-worth, owning it like Beyonce. How do we do that? What is involved? This is owning your focus, owning your time, owning your priorities, owning your relationships, owning who you give your time and energy to, and that's all about saying no. and respecting yourself and prioritizing yourself first, because as we've seen, that has a ripple effect that benefits everybody that, you know, you want to benefit from that. Owning your health and your energy levels. And I did a webinar on self-care a couple of weeks ago. So if that has a lot of information about how you can go about really optimizing your health and your energy levels, and what that involves on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level. So if you're interested in that, drop me a message and I can send you the replay. So owning how to support yourself and to really step into being self-reliant and being able to provide for your own needs. That can be a new thing if you've never really succeeded at that before. Owning your finances and your investments, building that security for yourself, because that's a massive way to take care of your emotional health and well-being. And obviously doing the self-value work is the most important building block to build that will lead to more security and financial success. Owning your career, taking responsibility for doing the work that you're passionate about, that you feel called to do, and that you really enjoy, because this is your life. And it's up to you to make sure that you're enjoying it and you're not making sacrifices that make you unhappy. And, you know, through doing all of these things, you own your impact and your place in this world, and you contribute in a really big way, and everybody will thank you for it. So these are the things that we have to drop. Drop the unsupportive narratives, drop the excuses, drop the time wasting, drop the victim stories, drop the drama, drop the emotional roller coaster, and do the mindset work. Drop trying to do it alone, because it's not possible. We are human beings. We live in community. We need support, and we're not designed to succeed alone. So drop leaking your time, your energy, and your focus and your money not on your mission, and drop not investing in yourself. Get the support that you need to get to the next step. Because doing it alone doesn't work. Please trust me. You've probably heard this message a million times from other people, but really stepping out of your comfort zone and taking risks and investing invites you to step up, invites you to start doing things differently. And yeah, so my story, when I was sick and I burnt out, you know, I worked with a lot of coaches who were in training, so I didn't have to pay when I was broke and I couldn't, you know, I wasn't working because I had such bad health. You know, I was doing a lot of the work by myself, and yes, it did help to a certain extent. But once I started investing in working with mentors who were really specifically equipped for helping me and my situation, everything changed. I healed my emotional patterns that were keeping me stuck. I really understood how to do that on a deep level. I, you know, gave myself permission and space and a place to confront my uncomfortable truths about my thinking, my behaviors, and my level of self-care, which I had avoided looking at for a really long time, hence what got me into the trouble in the first place. And, you know, through working with people who were mentoring me and supporting me to get to where they were, I learned how to have confidence and believe in myself at a whole new level that I never could have got to trying to do it by myself. So, and you know, when I made those changes, when I invested, my results shifted. I started working less. I started loving my work way more, making choices that were more aligned with what I actually really was passionate about doing, picking the clients who I worked with, attracting clients who I'm really passionate about working for. I started earning more money than I've ever earned before, having more freedom, more time, more rest, and more fulfillment. And all of this is possible. You know it is. You know this is possible, so it's possible for you. You just have to start thinking and acting completely differently. So here's a tool that I wanted to share with you to transform your self-worth and to be really focused on this. And I make sure with all the clients that I work with, daily mindset practice is the number one most important priority. Is to do something every day. And whatever that looks like to you, I just did a very in-depth video on daily mindset trainings in Money Mindset for Creative. So maybe I'm willing to share that with you, any of you who's not in the group. If you send me a message, I'm going to send that video to you to help you with this. Because a daily mindset practice can look whatever way you want it to look. The point is that you have to enjoy it. There are a million different exercises and tools that you can use. I'm going to share one with you that's going to be really valuable, specifically around self-worth. But the point of it is making that commitment to rewriting your story. So the exercise that I want you to commit to, starting today, please everybody put a Y in the box to say that you're going to commit to doing this, is just simply to write down 5 things you value about yourself every single day. Because what that does is it starts to train your mind to focus on the value of yourself, and it starts to let go of a lot of the stories about why you're not valuable, why you can't do something. Because when you're really focused on your value and you've taken the time to appreciate that, your mind is going to look for opportunities to reinforce that value, whether that's a paid opportunity, whether that is, you know, reaching out to somebody that maybe you wouldn't have reached out to before. And it can be, you know, I always say start with your skills and expertise, because that's an easy one. We're very used to talking about what we've achieved and what action we've taken that has value in the world. But then once you've done that, look underneath that and look at your innate qualities. Like what is it about you that allowed you to do and achieve those achievements? Something about your personality. Maybe it's your sense of humor. Maybe it's your sensitivity. Maybe it's the level of care you have for other people. Maybe it's how you make people laugh, or how you make other people feel. Maybe it's your intuitive abilities. Whatever it is, really stretch your imagination. And then if you're having trouble with this exercise, that says a lot, and you need to practice. And then you can come down to just even your physical attributes. Just value, the fact that you have a healthy heart that allows you to breathe every single day. Value the color of your eyes, the texture of your hair, just everything about your body. Just see it as a value, because it is. It's providing a service to you. It's keeping you alive and healthy. So, and this exercise is really to train yourself to understand that you are inherently valuable just for being you, just sitting and breathing as you are. You hold a lot of value. So once we start to think about ourselves this way, we suddenly start to see the opportunities that we have to create value for others with the skills that we already have, with the opportunities that we have already created for ourselves. And it suddenly becomes a lot more obvious how we can create more wealth, how we can make more impact. And it really helps to elevate our level of confidence to make all of that happen. So the other really exciting offering that I have to share with you today is the Self-Worth Makeover. So this is going to be a free 5-day challenge I'm going to be running in my free Facebook community, which is called Big Creative Fun. If you're not already in there, please jump in. I would love to see you there. So type yes in the box, and I will send you a link to sign up for this. It's completely free. It's going to start on August 27th, which is a Monday. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of really, really valuable information so that we can work on healing our self-worth together. And this is going to be involving, reaffirming, rewriting the stories around why we are worthy, getting really clear on that so that we can start to shift our focus onto those stories instead of the limiting beliefs. We'll really be focused on rewriting that story. I'll be sharing a deeper understanding of what's at play on an emotional level so that you can understand that process and how it's working within you, and how, it sounds really simple to just rewrite our story. Obviously, it's not that simple, and there's a process involved. So I really want you to have a deeper understanding of what that process is so that you can empower yourself to make that transformation. And really the intention for this 5-day challenge is to set yourself up for success going forward. And so you can make your dreams happen. Because if you take away anything from this presentation, it's that I want you to understand that your desires and your dreams are really important. They have a purpose that's bigger than you. You showing up and thriving in your life impacts so many other people than just you. So doing this work for yourself is really, really, really important. So I would look forward to seeing you all there and to doing this work. If you have any questions, anything that's come up for you during this, please feel free to leave a comment or send me a message. Yes, Shanita's going to be signing up. Oh, hi, Dory. Great to have you. So, I will look forward to seeing you all on the Self-Worth Makeover. And type yes in the box, send me a message, and I will sign you up for the Self-Worth Makeover starting on the 27th of August. And I will look forward to seeing all of the incredible results that are going to come from this work. So I hope you found this really valuable, and have an amazing rest of the week. And for those of you who haven't already joined, it's Big Creative Fun is my free Facebook community. There's tons of support and accountability focused on, you know, you creating the wealth that you want, doing the work that you love, whatever that is. And I'll look forward to hearing more from all of you. So thanks again. Lots of love. Bye.